And Nick Rushworth joining us here on set for a look at what the French papers are saying this today.
Hi to you, Stuart, and hi to everybody. Braquage sur la Croisette, that's the headline here on Le Parisien Aujourd'hui-en-France. That translates as robbery on the Croisette. And the Croisette we associate with the French Riviera, don't we?
Sure.
With the Promenade de la Croisette, which is in Cannes. Now, what's happened? A heist, very much out of that Catch a Thief movie starring Cary Grant. 40 million euros is the swag. Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. Now, that is not the biggest in French history. There was one in 2008 in Avenue de Montaigne here in Paris. That was 85 million euros. Then in 2008, that was Harry Winston, the jewellers. This time it's jewellers that's in the Carlton Intercontinental. So extraordinary events there. And Aujourd'hui-en-France, Le Parisien leading that naturally, of course.
And you found a lovely cartoon, haven't you, from showing kind of one thief chatting to another one. Is that right?
Well, if people can ever go to the website of Le Parisien Aujourd'hui-en-France, they can always get the cartoon, which is great fun. And this one you can see is two robbers having a chat. And one of the guys saying, well, it's peak time of year for me. Business is usually best in Paris as a robber. Of course, all the Parisians go away on holiday. But this time I've decided to take a holiday job in Cannes. So, of course, that heist, of course, making lots of buzz. And people will be talking about it in the cafes, won't they? That incredible amount of money.
I'm sure they certainly will be. Now, one person who is going to be still around is President François Hollande.
Well, no holiday for him on the Côte d'Azur. Instead, he's saying, I will be around. There you can see that headline in Le Figaro. Je ne veux pas de vacances de pouvoir. So he's entitled, as Prime Minister, as all the ministers, to 2 weeks break during the summer. And he's saying, I will only take one, and I won't be far away. He's told his ministers to stay on hand as well. Now, this is all to do with the fiasco he had last year, just shortly after being elected as president. He actually did take his 2 weeks off, and he took his kit off as well, not entirely, but he was seen, swimming around in his swimming trunks and so on. And that got a very negative buzz with the opposition leaping in, saying there's austerity, there's crisis, you're not dealing with it, and so on. And his poll ratings really fell from that point. So he's really anxious to make a message here that he will not be away.
He'll keep his trunks in the drawer this time. French ministers, meanwhile, they've been told to be on hand at all times by phone and be able to get back to Paris very, very quickly if needs be.
Well, normally when we have a look at the press at this time of year, it says, well, so-and-so is going off to Africa, so-and-so is going to South America. No one's going away out of France, and Manuel Valls least of all. Now, he is tipped as a future prime minister. There you can see him. Aujourd'hui-en-France has got this story. They've interviewed him to see what he's up to during the summer. Now, he's described by The Economist magazine as a socialist Sarkozy, and he's very much perhaps the most popular politician in France at the moment. He's taking here in this interview a hardline issue on security, saying security issues are not right and left. And he says that he will deal with all these issues about the Roma people, about the question of Islamism in France and so on. And he will be dealing with those. At the end of that interview, he's asked, well, do you know that you're the most popular and that half of French people would like you to be prime minister? Yeah. And he says, well, modesty strikes in. So.
Maybe one day.
So he doesn't really reply to that. But he is obviously one of the key politicians in France and one that we follow and track regularly.
OK, and on some of the front pages, a lot of international news dominating today.
Well, this is the front page of Le Figaro this Monday. There you can see it's front page of the Pope in Brazil. And there, Egypt, of course, very worrying there, the deepening crisis in Egypt. The headline there, le spectre de la guerre civile, so a spectre of civil war. And it's arguing that in its editorial that there can be no forward movement on the crisis in Egypt without bringing the Muslim Brotherhood back into the fold. Let me go, last of all, to Libération, and they're very striking, that front page, Révolution en péril. So that's the revolutions are in danger. So not just Egypt, but also Tunisia. And it's saying that 2 years and more after the Arab Spring, what we've got here is a failure of democracy. So that's very worrying for Libération.
Nick Rushworth with the French newspapers today here on France 24. Thanks very much. And that was the French papers.